Hey guys, real quick before today's video, which should be a great one featuring TMD YaoYao back on the channel again. Really excited to share that one with you. Just wanted to tell you about a side project I've been working on with the folks over at Plex Chat. A lot of you guys are already in my Plex. Well, we started a community Plex. It's a great place, hopefully really promoting positivity and vibrant communication within the community, something that we could definitely need right now. So go ahead and join. There's cool little things we're working on, like daily bounties where you try to play and win a match given a certain card, and you're entered into a contest to win some gems. So really cool ideas. You can see the Plex code on the overlay right now. Guys, let's go ahead and move on to today's main vid. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Clash Royale. So today, as I mentioned in the intro, I am joined again by TMD YaoYao. It's awesome. I finally got in touch with this guy, and now that I have that line of communication open, we get to include more content from one of the world's best players. You guys remember TMD YaoYao? He absolutely destroyed everybody in the King's Cup live event in LA. He was on my channel sharing his famous now Beatdown deck with the Lumberjack. A lot of you guys have been asking for Lumberjack gameplay, so I hope you enjoyed that episode. I'll link it in case you missed it in the description below. But it's funny, in the last Pro v Pro where YaoYao went up against TMD YaoYao, TMD Marcel, no, when YaoYao went up against Marcelp P actually came out victorious, spoiler alert for you guys, but YaoYao was like, listen man, I have this RG deck that I really want to share on your channel. I think it's really good, the best RG deck out there right now. So I figured I'd share it with you guys today, and we'll do the same format as the last video that I did with YaoYao, which is basically just sitting back, relaxing, take a deep breath guys, grab a beer, grab a soda, grab a coffee, and let's just watch YaoYao do his thing in a grand challenge. Now he was already at 6 wins, so maybe we'll stay until he loses, or we'll stay at least till he gets 10 wins, hopefully, in this grand challenge. So we're going to watch him play, and before we get to the actual deck that we're going to be watching and reviewing in today's video, I do want to talk a little bit about the Royal Giant because, you know, it's been about a week now, since the Giant, the RG nerf has hit the game, and I haven't heard a lot of talk about the Royal Giant, right? The most infamous, the most hated card in the game. Is it better? Is it worse? I've actually seen some reactions saying that they think he's better because now he can be played in the back or he can be played at the river, and it gives people using the Royal Giant more time to build up a significant supporting push behind him with the longer deploy time. Although there's no doubt about it, it was a decent nerf when you get one tower down and you play the Royal Giant in the pocket. On the opponent's side of the arena, that delay makes a big difference, unlike before when you can just sit there and just do instant damage to the opponent's tower. So I actually think personally it was good. I'm a big fan, a big proponent of the RG nerf, or the RG changes to his added deploy time. You can see great King Tower, by the way, activation there, avoiding that big beatdown push. Ironic here that the opponent of YaoYao is playing a deck very similar, if not the same, as YaoYao's favorite beatdown deck. So that's kind of ironic, is it not? But anyway, before again we get to the deck, just wanted to share my thoughts, and I wanted to hear your thoughts. Do you think RG is still the most hated card in the game? Or more importantly, should the RG be the most hated card in the game? I'm of the opinion that it should not be anymore. The same problem, I'm not going to kid anybody here, the same problem still exists, right? Royal Giant is a common card that's a win condition. So similar to Mortar, similar to Elite Barbarians, he's always going to be apt to be over-leveled and prevalent in especially that level 10 through 12, even level 13 range, where they have under-leveled rares and epic cards and even legendary cards, but they're able to lean on that high-level win condition for a common. Now, in case you missed it, in the last Radio Royale feature on the Clash Royale official YouTube channel, I'll put that in the show notes and if you did miss it. But Stefu, the lead designer for the Clash Royale team, he did mention that they kind of learned their lesson, for lack of a better phrase, when it comes to strong common win conditions. Now, I've always been in the camp where you have to choose one or the other. Are you going to have a lot of common win conditions? That way there's some variety there. So more than just RG, Mortar, and Elite Barbarians. Are there going to be a dozen different common cards that are really powerful eventually inside the game? Or is there going to be less? Is that going to be it? Have they learned their lesson when it comes to really powerful, over-leveled common cards? And Stefu said that yes, it's the latter. They've learned their lesson and they're not going to make super powerful win condition common cards anymore. So now it looks like we're just left with the Royal Giant, the Mortar, and the Elite Barbarians for powerful win condition common cards. So I'm actually, now that all said, I'm actually happy with the elite Barbarians. Man, Ash, get it together, dude. I am a little under the weather. I'm gonna blame all my misspeaking on my cold. Again, every time I travel, I come back with a cold. It sucks. It sucks. But anyway, enough whining, Ash. Royal Giant, I think, is in a healthy spot right now, given the whole over-leveled thing. There's not much we can do about that. Certainly not much I or you can do about it. It's all up to the Clash team. But I like the extra duration of the deploy time. It encourages people to play him more as a beatdown character in the beginning of a big push, where they put him behind the King Tower, as you can see right now, and build up a big push behind him. On the other hand, it also, you know, requires a little bit more skill than just spamming him at the bridge. Now, I do think that it was a significant nerf. Like I said, that you can't play him as effectively in the pocket. That's really one of the two areas where the Royal Giant was the most annoying. In the pocket, as you see him right there, and spammed at the bridge. Now, obviously, you still can play him spammed at the bridge. It's not going to solve everything, but I do believe that, you know, decks like this, the one we're going to be talking about in just a second here, actually are a lot of fun now, especially in challenges at tournament level standard, where you don't have to worry about going up against a max Royal Giant. But this is a pretty good deck. You're relying on your Royal Giant as a win condition, and you have a lot of defensive firepower, a ton of it, really. You have the Tornado, which is a good skill card to kind of pair with Royal Giant, right? So, hey, you know, you feel a little guilty for using RG, but you can pair probably the most skillful card in the game in Tornado. I really want to come out with a more in-depth Tornado guide on my channel soon, but I'm going to need the help of a pro to help me out with that, because, to be honest with you, I am not the Tornado expert that I feel I have the knowledge and the quality of intellect with the card that is worthy of my channel. So I do want to have a pro come on to help me with that in terms of the when and where to best use the Tornado beyond just activating the King Tower. So anyway, now we go against a beatdown deck. This is going to be the first time we actually look at the play-by-play in this match here, and we're going to talk about the deck and the defensive options it has before we get into the offense. So defensively, against Big Beatdown, against Hog Rider, against really any fast-moving win condition against a Giant, we can use the Tornado to activate the King Tower. We can obviously also activate Goblin Barrels or Miners on our King Tower. Tornado is one of the most powerful spells in the game, and it can also be one of the most frustrating cards to go up against. You can see Tornado again here. Granted, he's going to take a lot of damage. He's going against the Golem 3 Musketeer deck. He's going to lose that left tower, but now that he knows what's coming at him, hopefully he'll be able to mount a comeback here. And the Lumberjack to boot. Man, this is going to be a difficult deck to combat, but we'll see how YaoYao does against it. But anyway, we do have a lot of defensive options. Of course, ironically, as soon as I'm talking about how strong the deck is defensively, wouldn't you know, he loses like his first tower in quite a while. So now, TMD YaoYao, of course he's playing Lightning, because Lightning's his favorite card, right? So this deck is pretty solid with or without Lightning. Now, if you want to get rid of Lightning, it's going to be difficult, because you're probably going to want to add Zap in for Log if you don't have Lightning, okay? Because you do want something to reset those Inferno Towers. Lightning obviously will take it down to like 5-10% HP, so it has that benefit. But of course, if you want Fireball, Fireball has great synergy with Tornado. But You don't necessarily need Fireball in this deck unless you're going against 3 Musketeers, because you do have Lightning, and you can use the synergy between the Executioner and the E-Wiz with the Tornado. The Executioner plus Tornado is such a lethal defensive option, and of course the Executioner does a great job offensively supporting the Royal Giant behind him, as you've already seen throughout these replays. So here, good defense here by YaoYao. As soon as that Golem is about dead, maybe a little bit early on that RG there, he would have liked to have the support of the Electro Wiz and the Executioner, but check that out. Beautiful Lightning there, takes down the 3 Musketeers, and now it's just going to be a matter of just chipping away with the Royal Giant. You can see he's making a decent comeback there. I wonder if that was a mistake log there by, okay, he was predicting the Goblin Gang and he wasn't able to hit it. Is he going to be able to take this left tower down? It would stink if this was the first loss. And no, he does get it down, so that's really good. So you can see, the Royal Giant has a lot of HP, and he's pretty easy to support. And he's also one of the most hated cards in the game. So how do you make these things work in your favor as the person using the Royal Giant? Well, YaoYao was kind enough to provide me with all sorts of tips to this deck. Now, the most obvious offensive combination is going to be your Royal Giant, and behind him is the Executioner. Now, of course, the Executioner will run in front of him, but placing the Royal Giant, or the Executioner, excuse me, behind the Royal Giant makes it able to defend against almost anything that the opponent would throw at you, with the exception of Inferno Tower or a building, and that's why you have Lightning. Just the synergy between the E-Wiz, the Lightning, the Royal Giant, and Executioner, and the Tornado make this deck very, very frustrating to play against. And you can see here, YaoYao actually pulls up the come from behind victory there. Very good job, YaoYao. So I think that Royal Giant is worse than he was before, personally. That's going to be my verdict. Just slightly worse than he was before. And that's a shame for tournament level standards where he already wasn't widely used. But if you use this deck, you might have success with him. Now after the changes, YaoYao isn't playing RG as often on the bridge. That's pretty obvious. Now, a lot of skilled players already were aware of the fact that the best place in most scenarios to play your Royal Giant is going to be behind your King Tower, and that's certainly how YaoYao would prefer to start out a match here. Going against Bandit, and look at that Bandit, she flew and dashed everywhere, finally connecting to that right tower. I still like Bandit card. I love watching people play the Bandit. And okay, so Inferno, this ought to be a good matchup here, because the opponent has Inferno Tower, has E-Wiz, has a lot of defensive options for the Royal Giant here. Nice skeleton played by the opponent there. This has got to be win number 9 or 10 here for YaoYao. We'll make this the last replay of the video because there's not a lot extra to cover. Now, it's a fast deck. You guys probably already noticed that it's a cycle deck, right? I mean, it has both the cycle cards. It has Skeleton, it has Ice Spirit. So you can get to your next win condition, which of course is the Royal Giant, in a very, very fast way, a fast cycle, I should say, if you want to. So especially when you get into overtime with this deck, don't be afraid to try to cycle to get 2 Royal Giants on the board. Now, the beautiful thing about having the 2 cycle cards, pretty obvious, but not everybody realizes this, is that if you can set up your rotation, if you can set up your cycle so that you're using the Skeleton, you're using the Ice Spirit, and then you're using the Royal Giant, well, even though the rest of your cards are pretty expensive, with the exception of the log, I guess, you can actually get back to your Royal Giant in just 4 cards at a very cheap cost if you set up that rotation correctly. So think about it. When you have those cycle cards, even if the rest of your deck is relatively expensive, you can still cycle to your win condition if you use the first 2 minutes of the match kind of setting up your rotation, setting up your cycle the way you want it to be. That's really a next level tip that I, quite honestly, don't do enough in my game. I don't think enough about, okay, should I play the Skeletons first? Should I play the Skeletons second? Should I play the Skeletons before the Hog Rider? After the Hog Rider? Before the Musketeer? After the Musketeer? You really have to be thinking about these things if you want to get to the next level. You have to be thinking about how you're affecting your rotation more than just playing the card. So it's something, you know, to keep in mind. People always ask, what is the best things to be thinking about while you're inside a match? And certainly YaoYao thinks about two things other than just what he's playing at any given moment. Number one is, what cards does my opponent have in their hand? And number two is, how am I setting up my cycle? So here, he almost lost that right tower. Only 7 seconds left. That was a misplaced poison, so how is he going to be able to defend here? He needs to stop this miner. A good log by the opponent, a good log by YaoYao. Oh boy, that miner's chipping away, and then the poison on the tower, but YaoYao just needs one more hit, and he gets it with the RG for win number 9 or 10. I wish I could count, guys. I wish I could count. Someday I'll learn. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this video in this really cool Executioner Electro Wiz Tornado Royal Giant deck by TMD YaoYao. Huge shout out to HK Esports for allowing him to come on the channel, and a huge shout out to TMD YaoYao for appearing on the channel and sharing his deck. So guys, what do you think of Royal Giant? Let me know in the comments below. Huge shout out to my YouTube partner Bren Chong. You can check out his information, including giveaways, tournaments, and much more in the description below. And now I am gonna go take some Dayquil and try to get a second wind, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, take care, guys.